Perfect. You should all be able to see that Site App Pro 101 screen at the moment. Jump in on that chat if you can't see that or you can't hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. That would be very helpful. Lovely. And I'll just pop my video on here. Cool. Awesome. I'm just going to wait just a couple of seconds just so everyone can get in okay. I know a few of you have popped in on a few of these before, which is so cool, but just let me know in the chat if you can't hear me, if it sounds funny, if you can't see that big orange Site App Pro 101 screen, or just pop in and say hello. We've also got that little Q&A section here too, if you want to add any questions throughout the webinar. That is what I'm here for, so please ask any questions, even if they're not quite relevant to what we're specifically talking about today. I can try and knock them on the head and answer them too. Oh, cool, thanks Henry. Hey, how you going? Sweet, there's heaps of you filing in. They're still kind of pouring in, so I'll just wait a couple more seconds. This will be a webinar today based more, well, actually purely on the app side of Site App Pro. So it's one that if you have got a big team or a smaller team, you can actually send this off to your team after this when you get the recording. That way it gives them a bit more of an insight onto how they can use the app a little bit more, especially if there's things that you might find today that the team's not doing. It'll give them a bit more of information on you know, ways they can further utilize the app as well, which will be cool. Sweet. All right, I'm going to dive straight into it because there's quite a bit to cover when it comes to the app side of things. For those of you who come to the webinars quite a bit or just a Site App Pro wizards, you know everything, that's great. But just bear with me while I just quickly go over the basics of it. So Site App Pro has two kind of sides of it. There's the admin console side, which is based on the computer. And that's for the admin or the managers of your company. And that's used for the reporting sense, the setting up sense, and some, you know, back-end form editing to customize your account to suit you guys. What we're focusing on today is the app side, and that's what you download off your Google Play Store or App Store, which I'll get into in a second. And that's where all of the form completion is. So all of your health and safety forms that you've set up in your account, your team can then complete them on the app here too. So that's the main difference. So we're focusing purely on the app side, which can be used on like a tablet or a mobile phone or some type of smart device. Cool. So I'll just jump across here. So basically what we're covering today is I'll do a really quick intro just on downloading the app if any of you guys haven't actually done that yet. We'll then go into kind of how you use it on the everyday in terms of filling in forms and different ways people can utilize the form features. And then we've got a few things you might have just not seen before, a couple of tips and tricks at the end as well. Cool. So when it gets to actually using the app, you can go and download it from your app store. Android users, I'm an iPhone person, so I use App Store, but you guys might use the Play Store, the Google Play Store. Just simply search for Site App Pro and it downloads onto your app from there. You then would be set up, once you've set up your account on the computer, you've got those login details already. So you go and pop those in here. It has a few pop-ups that ask you to turn on notifications and location services, so turn that on too. That way you can utilize some of the check in and out features and you get those push notifications coming through as well. Cool, you then just click sign in. So I'm going through this one quite quickly because it does guide you through it. From here, you click create PIN and you set that 4-digit PIN number up, and that's what you use when you complete those forms. And then you just do a one-off sign from here. And that's basically the onboarding process in terms of the app. So if you guys are using it, there's kind of two different ways you can use it from the App Store. You can either set it up so that you guys are using like a workplace tablet. If you're doing it that way, you'll just need one user, one login to access that tablet, and everyone else can just be set up as team members. That way they've just got that 4-digit PIN code to access it. I know most people do it with everyone on a phone. So if you are doing it that everyone's logging in on their own phone, everyone will get their own user details, so their own email address and password. They'll log in using those details and go through exactly what we just went through there. That way they get the ability to set their own PIN number as well. So it's kind of puts the control on them instead of you guys having to remind them of their PIN number and password and stuff all of the time, which can get a little bit annoying from your end. So this way works really well. So they have a little bit more control and responsibility over it. Cool. Next thing from there, or the first thing I need to do is select the site. And that can be set up either from the app, which I'll go through in a second, or from the computer. And this is where the forms are saved when they're completed. So you'll see at the top here, mine says the Greenhithe site. And once it's up here, if you turn those location services on at the start, it orders them in terms of which site you're closest to. So you basically just go in, log in, click up here where it says Greenhithe site. Yours will say something probably different. And then it orders them there in terms of location. So you can see, you know, Greenhithe is 5.7 Ks away. Birkenhead, which is where I am now, is only 47 meters. So that one's come up to the top here. You then just click on the site you want to access that day. And then when you start filling in forms, all of the forms will be saved to that respective site. A lot of you can start to get quite a few sites on there, so you can utilize the search bar feature at the top too, if you're in a close proximity to a few of them and you just need to filter that down as well. So that's the first thing most people should do when you get on to Site App is select the site. The next thing you do is check in if you're using this feature. So this feature can be turned on the admin console. So if you guys don't have this feature on here, maybe just flick me a message and I can send you some information afterwards on how to turn it on if you'd like to use it. We've recently updated this feature as well, so it's got a couple of different options in terms of prompting users to complete a form, or more just giving them a bit of guidance or a push to complete a pre-start and a site induction. So I'll show you this now anyways. To check in, you just go and click the little check-in button, and then you click the big check-in button. From here, you can see these two forms, and these are the, oh, actually, yeah, so it looks like I'm too far away from the site that I was at. So it's giving me a distance warning because I had those location services turned on. So that's a nice little hack there too. Once you are checked in, it'll also show in the reports how close you were to that site as well, just as a bit of a reference point too. When it comes to those user specific forms though, you can see here we've got that personal pre-start and the site induction. So if I click on the personal pre-start, my user, so whoever I'm logged in as, gets one of these per site every day. And it just goes through and gives you all of these questions for your pre-start. So this is instead of doing that daily scheduled one, it's more of one that you do on your own. Say everyone in your account works on their own on site, or you want it more of a personalized one. This can also be customized from the admin console. So if these questions aren't what you guys want in your pre-start, you can completely change them and customize them to suit maybe more specific to what your business does. Once you're in this, it's the same as a standard way to fill in forms, which I'll go into a bit more in depth in here. But this last question asked me, are you feeling well and safe to start work today? And what the answer type is using is what we call a yes, no reason. So I'm going to tick no in this one, and it's going to prompt me to add a reason to explain why I'm not feeling well. So that's what's happened here. So it's forcing me to add that reason. So I can just explain why I wasn't feeling well or what exactly is happening. And admins can be set up that if one of these blue notes or reasons have been added, you can get notified either by like a push notification or an email. So you can stay on top of when something out of the ordinary has happened. I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail later, but then you can then also add a follow-up action. So if you want something to happen after a blue note, you can kind of send someone a notification or a task or an action from this message here. So I'm going to send it to someone and say, because I'm going home, can you complete my maintenance checks that I was supposed to do today? I'm then going to go and attach the actual maintenance form that I want them to complete, so they get a notification with that form there ready for them. So I'll click an ad hoc form and I go down and search for the maintenance form that I was going to use. I'm then going to assign it to someone, and that way that person can get the notification. It'll end up in their little message console on the app. So I'm sending it to Maddie. So she'll get a nice little message with that form attached. So when she comes into work, she'll know that I've gone home and she'll cover that work for me. I then just save the form off. So I click Save Final, select my name and put in my PIN number. You'll see me do that quite a few times today. So you can now see that I've completed this form for this site. So I'm on the Birkenhead site. I've completed my personal pre-start, and I've also got this site induction here, which I get one of per site. So it's a good thing to do at the start of a job. So you can see I actually did that site induction on the 11th of August, and it's still saved here in my little check-in button. That way, if you forget, if you're working on quite a few different sites in a day, you can stay on top of, if you've done them, if you've forgotten to do one on the site, you don't want to double up and do it twice. So it's a nice little way to keep on top of that too. Cool. From here, if you wanted to go and view the notification, you can just go back to that main diary page and you'll see that little pop-up notification would have been there for Maddie. So you can now see here that we've got that message has come up. You can click straight onto that equipment maintenance register and that'll open up that form that I then sent to Maddie, or you can click done when you've completed that task. Cool, so that's the whole little checking in and out. It's quite a complex feature, but it can be quite a powerful one just to get your team in the habit of checking in, filling in their pre-start, going on with the day of work. When it comes to filling in your forms, we can do a little bit more of a deeper dive here. But what we've got here is we've got these two daily forms here. So you can see we've got the pre-start. And this is the other one that I was referencing earlier. So if you were using that personal pre-start we just looked at in the check in and out feature, you'd probably turn this one off. So this one's based off more of a team pre-start. So if you guys work on a site and you've got maybe one site supervisor or project manager or something like that who runs the pre-start as a team, you'd probably turn off the check in and out pre-start and just use this one here as a team one, like a team meeting in the morning. So I'm going through here, I'm selecting who's on site, and then I click those green ticks to save the questions. Has everyone got the correct PPE? Sorry, I'm just flying through this form here, but it just shows all the different answer types that we can kind of use here too. Cool. There's some general comments that I can add at the bottom. So this is just like a short text answer type. And you can also see here that there's an option to add a photo to a form. So if there is something, maybe you want to take a nice little group shot in the morning of everyone there, you can add a photo by clicking that yellow icon there. Cool. From here, there's also the ability to just add a blue note. So before we added one of those yes, no reasons, and the reason kind of shows as a blue note or a reason. So if you just want to add one that's not using that answer type of yes, no reason, you can manually add a blue note here by clicking this little blue note icon in the bottom left corner. So if something's gone and happened out of the ordinary, you can just go and click on that one and add the information. So maybe you're saying someone's gone home sick, or a hazard's come up that you guys didn't expect, anything like that. You can add it in here and your admin will get notified. Finally, if you've got any external people in the company that you'd like to email a form to, you can set it up to either email automatically for a specific form, or you can do it as a one-off from the app. So you can do that by clicking the little mail icon in the top right corner and then enter their email address in here, and it sends a copy of the form off to them. Just make sure you hit the return button and it'll go gray like that, and then you click send and that sends the email off to them. Great. So the other way that forms kind of work, so the option we saw before was kind of like a scheduled form setup, but I'll show you that in more detail in a second. What I know a lot of people do is use this ad hoc section here. So this is usually if you've got quite a few people working on a site. And so you want them to basically have their own set of forms each time. So you can see here that it's directing us after we've checked in to go and use our ad hoc forms. And this is just going to be a library of forms that you can use. And this means that they've got no schedule set to them, and you can kind of access them whatever time of day or as many times as you need to throughout the day. So click play here. But the ad hoc forms are set up from the admin console, and it's just a scheduling setting that you can turn on from here. And to access them, you just click this little orange plus button down here. So as you can see here, there's a massive list of forms here. You just click on them to open them, and you can go through and favorite ones that you use most frequently. That way they're kind of pinned to the top of the list without having to search through it every time. So you can see I've done that with the pre-start. You can, there we are, I'll just scroll up here, make sure I've got all of the ones. So say you do use these 3 forms the most, they're the ones that are now favorited. So when I go back into that ad hoc list, those ones will be at the top, so I can just have super easy access. Great. From here, if you just click on a form as you see here, it just gives you a blank copy of the form. So that way I can go through, complete it when I need to, completely fill it out, and then just save it. That way it's all good to go. And it's just the same as completing another form. Great. So this is the whole list of forms. So you'll find things in here like incident site injury register, near miss forms, hazardous substance registers, anything else that you might not use on a schedule will be in here. Great, so those are your ad hoc forms, which I know a lot of you guys purely use, but if you don't work quite like that, you'll work on a scheduled form basis, which again is set up on that forms page on the admin console. And this is basically set up off a schedule of daily, weekly, or monthly. So you'll see down here at the bottom, you've got, we're here on the Today tab, and these are your daily forms to fill out. You'll then have weekly forms, so you have a weekly toolbox, and monthly forms for a site workplace inspection form. So at the moment, you can see here that we've got these 2 forms scheduled for daily, and how these work is you get these 2 forms for this site. So it's kind of a first in, first serve basis if you've got multiple people on the site. So once one form's completed, it's saved there on this site. So if someone else came and looked at it, they'll be able to see who completed it beforehand, and all their data will be there for today. So these, as I was saying before, work really well if you've got like a team leader or a project manager or someone who kind of mans these forms, and you can do them collectively as a team. That way they're completed for this site and saved to this site, and no one's overriding them or anything like that. If you do want to work not in a team basis and you want to have everyone do a form individually on the same site, that's when you'll have to use those ad hoc forms. So we can see that orange dot on the basic site-specific risk assessment. That is a mouthful. And that just means that it's currently, the form's been started, but it's currently saved as a draft. So that's what that means there. And that little blue note means those blue notes or a yes, no reason or one of those have been used on here as well. Yeah, so these are your daily forms. You can choose what days they show up from the app as well. And then the weekly ones, you obviously get one of those per site per week, and same with monthly forms, 1 per site per month. So you start to get the gist here. Those little orange dots too mean that there's still forms to be completed in that time period. So we're just going to look at the weekly toolbox. This is good. So you can kind of start it today. And if you save it, maybe you save it as a draft, you can go back and complete it at a later date within that week too. But again, it's just a matter of going through, clicking the answer, typing in your answer or selecting the answer, whether it's a yes, no, or multi-choice, and then saving that question there. So once you guys have a play around with the app a little bit more, you'll start to get the hang of it a little bit too. Cool. And then you can just kind of, for this toolbox, you can pass the actual app around, or the phone or the device, and get the team to physically sign it. So you can see it says attendee signature. You can click repeat previous question, and that will just repeat this form in a blank copy. So then the next person can sign it off themselves too. See, just like that. And once you've done with that, you'd say everyone present is signed, click Save Final to finish the form off. Select your name of who's signing it and then put in that 4-digit PIN code and you'll be good to go. You can now see that form's completed here because it's got that gray tick. Easy. From here, we've got a little slightly more complex one, and this is a different way you can set up your site. So you can set your form schedule up, and then you can also, when you're setting up a site, add a pinned form. And what this is as I was saying before, if you've got a daily scheduled form, you get one of those per day per site. So say for this pre-start, if I completed one yesterday, when I come onto site today, I'll have a blank new form there ready for me. What we've got here, which is slightly different, is your pinned forms and registers. And this is mainly based off for using it for maybe a hazardous substance register, or as we've got here, a risk assessment or register. And this here is basically used as a live form. So instead of me filling it in today and getting a new one tomorrow, it builds up as a live form or register on that site. So if you're working at a site for a longer duration of time, these can be really good for those. Because what I can do is the first day I get onto site, I can go through and assess all of my risks and hazards. And then from there, that form is saved there as like a risk register. Then if I come on tomorrow, that form will still be there completed as that form was on the first day. So you can go back and review it. All of the team can see all of the hazards and controls that have been put in place on this site. And then if something does come up, say weather conditions drastically change, more hazards come into play, you can go back into that form and edit it straight from this daily diary page and just add to it. So you can tell it's a pinned form because it's got the little green broccoli sign, and it obviously says pinned forms and registers. If you do want information on how to set these up, let me know, and I'll flick you some information on it as well. But once you're in the form, it's just your standard form. So you fill it in the exact same way as you normally would. Again, for these ones, because it is on that daily diary page, I would recommend to get like a project manager or a leader to be responsible to fill this in. Otherwise, if you've got too many people going and doing it, you might have people override it. So as you see there, I just filled in a really basic risk assessment and then I saved it off. So now say we come in tomorrow and we want to go back and look at what happened. You'll just be able to click straight back onto it. You'll see my risks are in there. You can click repeat previous section and go and assess a new risk that might have come up today. So it works, yeah, pretty simply like that. And you can just save it off each time. Yeah, I think that's all we want to say on that one. The sites are also, so this is set up on the computer and it's when the sites are set up. So it's a site specific kind of feature. Great. So the final kind of big section is the menu section, which you see up here. And this is where you can do a little deeper dive into the app. So you can click the little hamburger in the top left corner and that opens up the menu here. What we'll start with looking at is the messages. So for reference, daily diary checklist is those forms, the 3 tabs we were just looking at. So if you need to go fill in forms, you go to your diary checklist. Messages is what we'll look into now, and this is how your admin can kind of communicate with you. So you can see here my admin, which is me, sent a message and it just says, hey team, looks like you've been smashing out your health and safety forms this week. And so that's been sent from the admin console and they would have gotten the notification on the app here. You can also select if you want to just send it to one person, to a couple of people, or to everyone. You can also access the messages as we did when we were looking at that follow-up action on the diary checklist page, and you click the little message button at the top. You can see another message will come through here soon, a little notification. So it has a little drop down toast up here. It can show as a push notification like you get your Facebook or email ones. And you can see this is a training one. So I've attached a training form or an induction checklist that I'd like the team to complete. You can also send messages from the app by clicking the plus button, but just keep in mind if you're sending them from the app, it goes out to everyone. So it'll go to all users. So just keep that in mind. It's mainly here for if something's gone wrong and you want to just quickly alert everyone of that, you can use that message feature from the app. Other than that, the messages are mainly from a top-down approach. So admin messages out to the team, any updates or news that they want to let them know. Or it can be a bit of encouragement too. Saved forms is also found on the menu here. So you go up to the menu, you click onto the saved forms button here. From here, you can see, you can do a few different things. We can filter it by the last 7 days, the last 30 days, things like that. But this will show all of your forms that are currently completed on the site that you're on. So if you want to look at a different site, you have to change that site on the diary page first, and then come back to the saved forms page. You can also filter it by category or search for a form up here as well. You can filter it further by clicking that little 3 dots in the top right corner. By default, it shows you only the forms that you have completed. So the user you're logged in as, that's who it will show it of. If I click that toggle so it goes gray, it'll filter it and take that filter off, sorry. So it'll show everyone's forms. So you can now see that there's forms with initials underneath it. There are forms that other users have completed, and the forms with no initials are the forms that I've completed myself. You can also see there's a little draft one here. That's the little orange icon, and the tick means it's completed. The next kind of big monster to tackle is the form reports on the app. So that can be accessed by clicking this little clipboard icon here. So for those of you who are avid admin users, you might know what a form report is. It's accessed on the form reports or on the reports page. And it basically gives you a report on every form in your account. Here you can get kind of like a little mini report. So it can be good if you maybe want to keep an eye on like injuries that have popped up. So you want a report that stays on here, or any just form that you want to kind of track a little closer, but just from the mobile. So you can set these up by clicking the orange plus button down here. And that's how you can start to select the report. So then go select a form, and then you can choose the form that you want to find. So I'll do that injury register. Wherever we find it, there it is, and just click OK. From here, because it's a mini report, you can only select up to 5 questions that you want to focus on. So you go through and select those 5 questions that will display in the report, and then you just click next once you've done those. And from here, it's just a quick little review to make sure that's what you're after, and you can save that report from there. You can then click on it to open it. Because this is an injury form, it does ask you to put in your PIN, because only admin and managers can see this one. For forms that aren't like this, you wouldn't usually have to put in your PIN. So now you can see it's a report of kind of like all of your completed forms for this one. So this form was completed on the 10th of August, and you can scroll down to see the contents of each of these. If you are using a tablet, you'll notice that it's displayed slightly differently and in more of like a graph. So that's just the difference on screen size and screen display here. So that can be quite a good way if you're wanting to kind of have a deep dive on the site and focus on a few key areas. There's a couple of other things on here that I'll just quickly fly through. This is the site's detail page. You can click the orange plus button here if you want to add sites on the fly. You do need admin or manager access to be able to do this. So it's asking you to put your PIN number in, and you can go and add site details in from here. The site details page can also give you a little bit of extra info on the site that you're currently on. So you can go into the sites tab from the menu and look to see if there's any additional notes. It'll give you the address and things like that. But you can see I just added that Albany site. It's been added successfully. It's all created. You can also use that sites page as well to view who's currently checked in on site. If you go onto it, there's like a little check-ins button, and that'll show you who's there at the moment in case of an emergency or something like that. Easy. The other thing is, well, kind of the final big one to tackle is suppliers, equipment, and team. Suppliers can be added from the computer or from the app, and that's if you've got anyone whose details you kind of want to keep on site. It can be like a service supplier, if you have someone who comes in maybe does maintenance or something like that, or it can be if they deliver goods, if you guys receive anything too. It's just a good place to have their contact details so you can contact them from the app if you need to. We've then got equipment as well. From the computer, the equipment is set up and you can attach resources or any maintenance date to it. And the app side of it is mainly used just to view those. So here you can see that the crane is due for maintenance as it's showing in red. You can click the view icon up here to view the last maintenance check that was done. And then you can also click this little paperclip icon to view any resources that might have been attached to that piece of equipment. And then you can click the little view icon again here just to open that up further to actually view that resource. From here, the final one is team. So team, you can use this to either maybe check in to see someone's PIN number if they've forgotten it, or you can add a new team member on the fly here. But keep in mind if you guys are working as team members or users. So if your team will need an email address and password to log into the app, you can't do this from the app. That has to be done on the computer. So say I want to go and access someone's user details. I'll go and select on someone's name from the list. It'll then ask me to select my name to prove that I've got admin or manager access. So I'll put my PIN number in and that gives me access. So I'm looking at my own profile and I can just scroll down here, look at the information that's attached to mine and I can update anything that I might want to. Cool. That's pretty much as simple as that for adding team members. If you do just work off team members, so say you work off that generic or communal tablet, you can add them by clicking that orange plus button up there. Resources is one of the final ones we'll tackle, and it's just something that you can add in from the computer if you want your staff to view it. So it's just good to have it there. I know some people add in big, TA sheets here, or they might add in a list of their hazardous substances or just some training information. So as you saw back there, sorry, that one jumped in a little bit quick, but you can click view and download to actually view the resource. So you can see here it's opened up a URL link to a WorkSafe website, and then they can click complete when they go back on the app and sign it off. That way you've kind of got a record of the fact that they've viewed that resource. They might have done that bit of training or you just know they're staying on top of it. Okay, we've got our last one here, and this is just for people who are contractors. So you might work across multiple Site App Pro accounts, or if you're a group here for Site App and you guys are in the same company, but people work in different logins, you can set them up as a contractor. We've got it here. If you are a contractor, you're logged into one account, you have the option to use our switch option now, and that gives you an easy access to change between accounts. So you click switch, it'll then give you an option to choose what account you'd like to access now. Once you click OK, it'll just log you straight into that one. So if you are jumping between sites or accounts in a day, you can just do it really simply and easily from there. Great. Cool. So that was everything. That was quite a lot of information for today. But if anyone has any questions, please pop it in the Q&A and I'll be more than happy to have a chat about it. But while we're here, we do have that Facebook user group that's fully there for you guys just to utilize if you've got any information about your team or your company or any events coming up, or if you've got any questions about the community, pop it in there because there's an awesome team of Site App users that are in there that'll be able to have a chat with you guys. We've also got a blog. We've got our support library if you are stuck on any software questions for Site App. There's heaps of videos, articles in there. And we are doing more webinars monthly. So if you've got any burning topics that you'd like me to cover in the future, please let me know. But we're just going to keep moving through these topics for now, once per month. Finally, if you do have any other questions, you can email me at support@siteappro.co.nz. We love hearing from you guys, even if it's feedback or a question, or you just want to have a good old yarn. You can do that too, that's fine. I've just got a question, just give me one quick second. Yeah. So we've got a great question for setting up sites. So it's just asking for setting up sites, is it only the admin that can do this or each person, like when you're adding the team? So it is exactly like when you're adding team. So it asks you to select a name to show that you've got admin or manager access when you do that. So you do need to be an admin or a manager for this one to be able to do it. You can always change people's users over in the staff and users page on the computer if you do need a few of them to have that manager access to be able to add sites from the mobile. Great question. Cool. Let me know if you've got, oh, we've got them coming all through. How do we download all the reports to a file? So when it comes to reporting and exporting your data from SiteApp, that's done on the computer side. So you log in, so go to our website first, hit the login button, go onto the admin console there. From there, there's a tab that's called reports, and there's 3 different tabs you can access it from there. So you've got like some summary reports that more just give you a tally of how many forms have been completed. Form reports is one that's used a lot, and that's kind of like the mobile one I was showing you before, but it's a full version, a big version. And so you can get a report off each form from there. It's just a matter of selecting the date range, downloading your report, and you can then export it to either like an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF. The final option is just completed forms, and that gives you a PDF of every single form that's been completed in your account. So that's all done on the computer there. Great, I'll just see if there's any other questions. Yes, everything that's completed on the app can be exported. So you can get the form reports are the ones you're probably after. So you can get a breakdown of each form. Once you're in the form report, you can then filter it by site. And that will give you the option to get a report for that site instead of just an overall of all of your data. So that'll filter it down even further. So if you go onto the form reports page, and then you can change it in the top left corner to select the site that you want to focus on for this report. Smashing out the questions though. Cool, just check. One more is coming in. Oh no, as a thank you, no stress at all. Just flip me an email if you've got any more questions. I'm more than happy to help on those. They're great questions. Got a chat. Oh, cool. Okay, perfect. We've got all the thank yous coming in, which means it's my time to go. But if anyone didn't get their questions through, just let me know. I think once you finish this webinar, you'll get a little survey as well. So if you do have time to answer it, that would be really helpful for us, as we really appreciate all the feedback. But yeah, have an awesome rest of the day, guys, and I will see you all in a month. Thanks.